Okay, so we make start now. This is, as you can see on the screen, is the Cosplay Photography panel. My name is Mark.
And I'm Lisa.
And I'm a freelance photographer based in Melbourne. I've been shooting for somewhere upwards of 5-7 years or so. I'm also a correspondent for Anime News Network, so I've done a lot of journalistic work and obviously a lot of cosplay related photo shoots, worked with friends around here and everywhere around the country.
And I actually started off as a cosplayer, and through cosplay I discovered that I actually really like taking photos. So I've been cosplaying for about 4 or 5 years, and I started taking photos about 3 years ago. And after I realized I like taking photos, I actually learned a lot and photo media imaging. So now, on top of my current job, I do freelance photography as well. So a lot of events, a lot of like graduations, weddings, things like that, and I also do heaps of cosplay shoots as well. It's my way of practicing my photography.
Yep, and today basically we're hoping to take you through a bit of the, I guess, stories that we've encountered through our cosplay photography work. We're not going to delve too much into the technical side of cosplay photography here. What we really wanted to show here is more just the experiences that we've had. So it's sort of, I guess, relate to how some shots are done, all the things that came together to make the pictures, and it's hopefully we could use it just to sort of inspire you guys, sort of go out there and start shooting these kinds of things.
Yeah, so after the panel goes through, if we have time, we'll do a bit of quick Q&A. So, yes, here we go.
Okay, so starting off, there we go. First one we have is location. So this is one of the first aspects that you probably should start looking at even before you start shooting, obviously. You're going to need to look for your location. But before that, this one in here is a picture of Ali from The Walking Dead. Now, this was shot at a convention.
It was actually, yeah, it was a horror con back in Melbourne, and it was one of the studios that I've been building, so we were able to access the back alley of it, and it actually wasn't a very big space, but using certain angles and creating dynamics through it, we were able to tell the story. So yeah, use your location to your advantage, especially if the place is not very big in the first place.
Exactly. The convention itself actually is just a general kind of convention type place. This was just a back alley in there, and I think if I remember correctly, these guys, Lisa, the producers told me, hey, we've got a bunch of zombies running around here. Can you just come here? We need to shoot these. So it just sort of, it's a very last minute type of thing. But if you sort of make use of what you have available, and even just posting the photo like what we've done here. This one in here, for example, it looks like Ali is about to fall into a horde of zombies trying to grab it, and so it brings up it complements the location and brings up the kind of image that we want to show that's related to the actual source material. So moving on. Now this is Game of Thrones, so friends Eric and Sian.
It was actually it was shot in it was kind of an artist colony, and it was took on back in Melbourne, and this is an example of a location where you actually have to contact them beforehand to rent out. Because sometimes when you're shooting, you'll find that places that are not generally open to public, you will have to actually contact them, make sure you have permission to shoot there. Otherwise, if you start shooting, you will get kicked out. So this was Mark had to organize to get a photographer's permit for this area. Yeah,
and again, yeah. So that's something you have to worry about, I guess. Some sites, specifically, I guess, places of worship, for example, or national monuments. Some of these ones even have strict photography of any kind rules. So it's one of those things that you have to take into account when you're going out there. It's a little tip we'll leave it in the head. It's going to be make sure to keep, I guess, a backup location, because you might go up there thinking that it's fine. Then all of a sudden you come up and go, sorry, you're not allowed.
And
get kicked out, then it's a wasteful day.
Research your location, make sure you can actually shoot there within reasonable permission.
Yeah. So the next photo we've got here is Lisa. This is up in Mount Buller, Florida. Shooting West of the Guardians.
So this is an example of quite an extreme location, as we would put it. And when you go to locations like this, make sure you definitely keep an eye on the time, because they're often really far away. And also make sure you have appropriate footwear, because I was barefoot in the snow that day, and I highly do not recommend anyone go barefoot in the snow.
Okay,
So yeah, make sure you have appropriate footwear and appropriate like clothing and things like that to match your locations because yeah, sometimes you'll find that it gets really strange.
and from the photographer's point of view, you also should make sure you have the proper gear. I thought I wore good enough boots up to the snow here, but I didn't realize that the snow was about a meter deep in some places, so my foot sort of just slid down and into my socks. And it was a couple of times today. So it's one of those things. Plus, in extreme environments such as these, so it could be in the snows like these, you'll have to consider the capabilities of your camera. So make sure that my tip for going into the snows is don't sort of take your camera from your car and then out into the cold environment really quickly. That can introduce moisture into your camera and that could ruin things. So generally acclimatize your gear to the environment because that helps preserve your camera for longer. And other things such as shooting at the beach or anything with water in them, salt and all that. It's a lot of things that you still have to consider to take care of your gear because your gear is basically your life and it's expensive. Okay, so we're moving on. The next one that's Miss Marvel, Danny. This is, I guess, what we want to show you. It's in the city, so a lot of you will have access to a beautiful city here. What we want to show you is, again, a good use of angles. So I would have wanted preferably to shoot this on top of an actual building, but can't do it because we don't know anyone with a tall building up in the city. So what we did was I just propped up Danny on top of this, it was a box or ledge or something like that. So I told her to just kneel down there, and I was just pretty much lying down on the ground, made myself look like just flat myself on the ground, got the angles, got the shots off the buildings, and sort of just for a moment there was some wind blowing through it. It's just taking advantage of your environment.
So sometimes you find that your location is like not as ideal as you would hope, but through angles you can manipulate it to make it look like something else entirely.
So that's just a quick rundown of locations. So you gotta remember to research it if you can, ask permission wherever possible, and prepare your gear to be able to handle it in the environment you're going through.
I'm not sure about Sydney, but I know for Victoria there's actually a website called Films Location Victoria. There might be a similar one in Sydney if you look online. So places where like student filmmakers, photographers will often go. They will often have like a list of like different types of genres of buildings or landscapes that you need. So have a look online, ask around to see if there's good locations around.
Okay, so our next photo here, we're moving on to studio shoots. This is a picture of a Maggie shoot that we did probably about a couple of years ago. It's been a while. Now, just a little backstory to this one. Probably about a week before we took this photo, we actually went out into a place called Eagles Point. Because we wanted to shoot it in, I guess, a sandy kind of beach area. But the problem was, at that time, it was really raining down. So it was pretty much, we took some shots, but we were pretty much unhappy with all of them. And everyone's pretty much just put in all of their hard work right into these costumes. So we just decided the next week, alright, let's go into the set of the studio. This is how the studio actually looks like. It's actually just a little corner of the house.
Open the house. And they just got pretty much all of the nice fabrics and any props they have lying around. It's created like a sort of makeshift tent to make it look like an actual tent.
So we just pretty much just chucked in everything in there. So we just wanted to show you this as a way that the studios enable you to control exactly what you can show in the picture. So this is something that you can construct the set. You can show exactly what you want to do with it. So it's full control. It's beautiful working in the studio. You can control your lighting, and you also have plenty of time to do your shoot. So it's good to sort of do that.
Not to mention it's a lot easier on the cosplays as well when they have like a bathroom they can go right there to fix makeup instead of having to put the out of your bag.
Yeah, and moving on, this is Summer Wars, another studio shoot here. Now this one is a little bit more, I guess, generic studio style, I guess. I've got the backdrop in there, plus some boxes on both sides to light it up. And some key lights you probably see there on further back closer to me. Now, this one in here, it's one of those things that allows you to, studios can help you create images that aren't realistic, I guess. Some of us is set in a computer world, so a lot of it is neutral tones and all those things, and minimalistic details, if you can say that. So you could use the studio to embellish these kinds of features. Plus, as you can see here, that is jumping quite high. In a studio environment, you have a little bit more, I guess, leeway in terms of what you can achieve. You can jump as high as you want. You might even, choose to bring a trampoline inside your thing and just jump around from that. It helps you sort of just control how your cosplayers can act in front of the camera because you're safe. Relatively safe. Okay, moving on.
This is just another example of a studio shoot. This time against the black backdrop. It was just a simple setup in my living room, and we chose to do a studio shoot because a lot of us had like giant props that just was not the ones that we were carrying around. So just using a simple black backdrop, and like using like other little props like feathers and petals and things like that, we're able to just sort of make a mess and do whatever we want and within our time frame as well.
Yeah, that's something you should always think about as well, making a mess. It's not quite so easy. Or you can throw confetti outdoors, but when the wind sort of blows and it takes that out further away, it's so hard to pick up afterwards. That's one little thing that we should ask most photographers out there: sort of keep everything neat. You want to leave a location exactly how you left, how you came into it. Just one thing I want to mention about this photo. This was taken from a top-down shot, so you can see Lisa lying down the ground, and Sky is just look it up. In the shot, this kind of angle coming up from here, I guess what I want to say is it's good to sort of practice different angles that you might not necessarily think of. I just did this shot at the end of the day. I wasn't even planning to take this shot, but as you can see here, it shows the jawline really well. So it's something that I found out at the last minute. Again, just keep your
camera ready to shoot. Because there might always be shots that cosplayers think of before we wrap up.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
I'm talking about action photography now.
Yeah.
So this was a cycle past shoot earlier this year, and so in the shot we have just sort of like smaller action sequences. So as you see, the front two characters are very one, whereas the back two were just sort of static. And I think how we achieved this shot to make it look like they're about to run was when Mark was taking the photo, we had them just go, okay, 1, 2, 3, step, and then within that step we were able to sort of create sort of like they were in motion, but without them actually having to run.
Yeah.
Especially when in like night locations like this, where we had really limited lighting. Because if you were to, flashes usually can't go off too often, so if you were to sort of do like a rapid fire flash, it's not going to work. So you can't
have intermittent shots, once black, once full color, and sometimes your flash just skips up altogether. So you usually only have 1 or 2 good shots with the flash before the recycle time takes over from these things.
So you kind of just want to like imitate the action without actually telling the cosplayers to run, especially on the white.
Yeah. So next one we have here is the Metal Gear Solid. We'll count in that. Now this one is showing a little bit more high action into it. The way I shot this one is by using the high burst frame rate of my camera. You might not have that particular, but I just told Kelton, alright, there's the ledge. I'll set my camera to really high shutter speed, and then just jump, and I'll just capture every single image I see just flying out.
So this was like a rapid fire shot. A lot of the cameras you see these days pretty much have a setting where you can just hold down the trigger and it'll just take it as it goes. So like if you're in a higher environment, more light, that's a good way to capture action. Especially you can just sort of flick through it later, but wait, that's the best one.
Yep, so that's it. This is one way we're using natural lighting. It's bright sunny day when we were shooting, so it was really easy to actually capture these kinds of photos. Moving on, the next shot we have here is
This is also this is also faking action again. Because sometimes you see obviously this was Kuroko no Basket is a basketball series, and a lot of cosplayers aren't basketball players who can actually do a full slam dunk. So what we just had here was we had Kay just getting on her chair so she got close enough to the net, and using angles and just sort of cutting off where the table is, we're able to make it look like she was actually jumping high enough to get the slam dunk. So sometimes you just have to sort of manipulate your angles and just sort of cheat a bit to get the action that you want to achieve.
Yeah, so what you want to sort of say is, don't ever sort of ask your cosplayers to do something they're not comfortable with. Now,
or they can't do it.
Or they can't do it at all. So Kay here was actually the one that suggested to us that, oh yeah, let's just pull a table today. I'm going to do it, I'm going to go on top of it. Even though we were sort of wary that this is not exactly... Actually, before this, Kay even had that chair on top of the table. Before that, and she was standing on top of it. No. We won't go that far. But as long as they're comfortable with it, I think if they've got the knack for doing these kinds of action shots, we obviously take caution when you're doing that. But as I said, don't push them beyond their limits.
Yeah. Just listen to your cosplayers on what they can do and what they can't do.
Exactly. Alright, now this one here, Kill la Kill with Kay.
So this was also this was freezing action using two lights. So I shot this one, and it was also in the low light environment because it was during night time by the time we had to go around shooting, and it was just two flashes with two umbrellas on the sides, and I just wanted to jump and I just freeze the action using the two flashes, and also with that you can create a very sort of contrasting dynamic for the lighting as well. So yeah, and then she edited the hell out of it, which makes it amazing.
Yeah, Peggy is one hell of a Photoshop artist, so yeah, definitely good stuff that she produces out there. With these type of shots in here, as you can see here, I think Peggy already knew sort of what she wanted to achieve in the end. So it's something to, whenever you're shooting or setting up photos that require multiple flashes or equipment, it's one of those things you also have to visualize, how will this look in the end? How will I want this? Because as we're going to move on later towards editing, it's something that you sort of have to think about when you bring your photos into your computer, because the world of cosplay photography is about creating, I guess, fantasy or making fantasy real, I guess. So it's always going to be based in a world that's probably fantastical. So you sort of have to think ahead when you're just setting up these shots, because you're probably going to do a bit of editing again.
Moving on to emotion cosplay photography, because we wanted to cover this part especially because we realized that a lot of cosplay photography these days is that have their characters very sort of static, like a cool look or a cute look and things like that. But it is fun to actually explore a bit more emotion in your photos, especially if your character actually has these kind of emotions. Because as cool as your character is, or as cute, they probably don't always look that way, especially if they have a backstory to it. So yeah.
That's whenever I'm shooting, I always, even if sometimes even if it's not in character, I often encourage cosplayers to smile, even just once for the camera, because everybody looks beautiful, and I think it's even more, it enhances everyone's beauty if they actually do smile. It might not be in character, but afterwards they might realize, hey, this is actually a nice picture of me, and they might use it as a Facebook profile. So things like that. So it's useful for later. So just one thing I want to mention about this picture here. It was obviously it's from Peter Pan. I wanted to show Christine in a very playful kind of manner. So we were at the playground at the stage, and she's just peeking through there, so she's trying to be naughty, I guess. But to achieve this kind of look, you sort of have to level yourself, your angle to the same level as theirs. So it makes it a bit more personal, a bit more focused on their features. So in this shot, I was lying on the ground, so you can see the foreground over there is just blurred out because I'm just pretty much the camera's just standing there, sitting on the floor itself. So it's coming up with this, so you're really focusing your image on the person. Now, moving on to another emotion panel. So this one is Lisa. Kitchen shoot that we did about a year ago, more than a year ago. We shot it at the Botanical Gardens, and Lisa, can you tell us how you achieve the emotion that you're showing in this picture?
Well, there wasn't really anything to it. I actually was just screaming in the gardens out loud because anyone who knows Kenji knows that he has a very tragic anguish backstory, and I really wanted to capture that in the shots. And I remember I was sort of trying to get that look by just like silently screaming, and I couldn't do it. And I really just told Mark, do you mind if I scream for real? So there were 5 minutes I was just screaming out loud in the gardens, and thankfully no one came around. But yeah, sometimes you just have to sort of go out there and do something a little bit embarrassing to get that look that you want.
And as a photographer, what you have to pay attention to with emotions is that your setup is complementing what they're trying to show. So in this case in here, I used a couple of flashes. One pretty much quite both to her at, I guess, steep angles towards her. This created quite a lot of shadows and boundaries before that. So there's a lot of contrast in the shots. If you darken if it's a shot that's got a dark kind of atmosphere like what this shows here, it brings up the mood of the cosplayers. It enhances what they're feeling. So obviously, if this was shot at daylight, when it's really bright and sunny, it just looks like it might look like she was just a whiny kind of guy, which is not what you wanted to show. You wanted to show someone who's just lost someone or got really hurt. And so it's one of those things that you have to strike a balance with your light setups, your angles in here. So in here, I'm quite zoomed in to her features, so I've cut off pretty much her lower body. This makes the focus of the picture just on their faces, on their face. So it shows exactly everybody's drawn to that central location there, and that's how your audience can sympathize with the characters that we're trying to show. Moving on.
Yeah, so the last emotion on the cover is sort of like getting photos that sort of indicate love and like sweetness in these shots. So these shots are like probably more relaxing than what we've seen before, and also just a lot of vivid, very serene colors as well. So yeah, just sort of tell your cosplayers to just sort of relax your face, look like you'll be sleeping or something like that. And so yeah, that kind of just achieves a very sort of calm tone, which we want for these kind of shots.
Yeah, and just as you can see, it's quite contrasting with the previous photo where it was a lot of shadows. This one here, as you can see, all bright light, bright colors, very vivid colors. And yeah, this is how you use light in photography to enhance the emotion that's being shown in here. Because yeah, most people associate these happy feelings with brightness, bright colors, and all that. So I guess it's a bit of a lesson in psychology as well.
Another thing to think about when you take photos is like kind of the tone of the photo that you want to portray.
Yeah, I think we got one more emotion slide here. Yes.
Last one.
Last one. Fear. That's what we're trying to portray in this photo.
Yeah, so pretty much with this shot, I'm the one who's around it, and like there's really no other way around it, but pretty much just to put yourself in these characters' shoes and imagine what they're going through. And obviously, like what you see with these hands is actually just the other cosplayers I had with me and couples on the day. But yeah, just sort of like rearranging it to get like the idea of what's happening, and even with us seeing the rest of their body, we can like, kind of get an idea that there's a whole lot of zombies coming at me.
Yeah. This is something that I guess I want to show in terms of cropping. This photo right here, if we didn't crop this shot here, you'd probably just see a whole lot of cosplayers on the left side of the photo with just their heads bobbed down and just random shots in there. So if you crop it at a certain location, obviously you don't have access to real zombies or not enough of them. If you crop it at a certain point and maybe fill in some shadows like what we've done here, it allows the audience or your viewers to actually fill in the gaps. So you can see some really mangled up looking hands in there. Your audience will sort of start to imagine, what's beyond that? Are there even more hordes of zombies behind these hands in here? So by using cropping and some use of shadows, you can enhance the fear or the emotion, what other kind of emotions you're trying to show in your pictures. And another thing here as well, the editing in here shows.
I added like a bit more of a grungy effect to is just sort of bring out the white parts of the brick wall, just make it look like dirty and pretty much. So your editing also helps with the general tone of photos.
Yeah.
And speaking of editing.
We're moving on to editing. Alright, so we're moving on to editing your photos at this stage. Now, we want to start with editing, I guess, basic Photoshopping stuff into your photos. What Sky's done with this photo is she's just changed up the contrast of the photo. She's done a bit of fix up her face, just retouch all those little details that she might not have liked. And that was pretty much it. So you can do simple stuff like that. The only thing that you sort of have to be wary of with these kinds of shots is, I guess, over editing photos. It depends on what you want to achieve in the end. My personal thing is, you probably don't need to always go the full way. You want to sort of still keep your cosplayers looking like people instead of plastic. It's one thing to keep track of. I mean, it's fine if you actually want your characters or the people that you're photoshopping to actually look very fake. But again, it's one of those things that you have to keep in mind. Is this really what I want?
I mean, because like cosplaying is about bringing your 2D character to 3D, so it doesn't hurt to look a bit more like a human in photos instead of just looking very plastic and flat and all-like.
Okay. The next shot we have here is slightly more editing done. Okay. I think you can see it there. The bottom of the screen,
That's like
hands coming out. It's quite bright, so you might not see too well. But yeah, there's hands in there, so just again. Seem to be focusing a lot on zombies.
But yeah, this is pretty much shooting with post editing in mind.
Yeah.
So what Mark did was he actually cropped it enough to actually have hands, so we can like paste hands on in Photoshop later. So sometimes when you take a photo and you think, okay, I want to put something on it, stuff on it later. So you want to be able to crop it so you have enough space to add these extra elements.
Yeah. So this is slightly more editing that we've done than what we've done with the previous one. Besides those hands there, I just Googled zombie hands and pretty much just cut them out, put them there, applied Gaussian blur, and that was it. And then just enhanced a bit of, added a bit of shadowing on the top and the bottom of the frames, so that vignetting happening. Yes, so that, again, the focus is on the people's faces right in front of the camera. Okay, we're gonna go to the next one. So this is an example of
sort of like
a bit more advanced editing. That's it. Again, I shot this photo, but Katie was the one that actually did the bulk of the actual photoshopping.
As you can see, the way she's edited, she already has sort of an idea of how to create like a dreamy sort of effect by adding the smoke and like upping, sort of like toning down the vivid colors. So basically, when you edit photos, you want to have an idea of how you want this to end up, how you want to take it in the end, and sort of just add effects on top of that to achieve it.
And this is a case where I guess it's good to be familiar with what you are cosplaying with, or what you cosplay as a cosplay. So this is a little bit more in tune with how the actual anime manga is actually created. So a lot more flat features, so as you can see heavy space in it, a little bit, it has less shadows than what was originally on the photo that I shot. And then the colors are a little bit more muted compared to the original photo. And that's the thing you have to sort of also think about. When you're shooting the photo, how much can be edited in the end? If you shot a photo that's too dark, later on and you realize that you're supposed to have been a bright kind of photo, you'll have problems, and vice versa. It's something you have to keep in mind if you actually are planning on editing your photo heavily. You gotta either overcompensate one way or the other. We're gonna go now to effects, I believe. Yep, effects.
So sometimes when you take photos, you want to actually create an effect, and here we're talking about like physical effects, not stuff that we put it in post. So these are like actual effects that you have on the day when you're shooting with the cosplayers. So as you see here, we were shooting locally with a West Coast version, and like we wanted to build like sort of like a stage because it's like sort of a band. But obviously we don't have access to something like that. So I was the one that actually made the backdrop for that, and we'll show you how it gets made later.
Yep, probably seen this kind of image in
like music videos.
Music videos that basically just want to have a rock band.
So like wall with lights, in fact.
Wall with lights, that's right. And again, this is a photo from the same shoot. And we want to show a bit of dynamism. So it looks like the shoot, the concert looked like it was over. And
so we had like confetti flying.
It looks like the crowd is cheering at this stage, and everybody's happy that they made such a shoot. So you also have to, as we're going to show later on, think about the story. In order to establish, these effects, I guess, are always all going to go together towards creating the story. So I'm going to show you how we put this all together with this next video. This video.
So we had a small machine on the day to just create like the series. And as you see, it's just like MDF boards with a bunch of holes cut out of them, and there's the confetti.
The only issue with the problem with this one is we couldn't afford or really.
So as you see at the back, it's pretty much just aluminium foil, duct tape to the side, and by bouncing like 2004, we were able to bounce it out of the holes in the walls to make it look like it was actually a wall of light instead of having individual light bulbs. Because we did try to think of a way to do that, but the one it was too expensive and it was too dangerous for that amount of power on the grid, especially if it was just in my house.
Yeah. So this particular photo here. We only had basically 3 or 4.
We have 4 panels.
4 flood lamps just on the side, 2 on each side of the stage. So basically what it is just they're coming in there and it's the angle of the aluminum foils is coming out that way. The only problem we had with this one was that because our source light were pinpoint lights. We had to individually angle each one of the foils to come out at the exact angle. I think it took about maybe an hour and a half just to set that up. It's probably took longer to do that than the actual shoot itself.
That's one way to sort of like create cheap effects by doing it cheap, because I think we calculated how much it would cost to do it with real lights and
it's just too dangerous sometimes. So you gotta think about your limitations. So just
it was just two very simple working floodlights that you can implement.
Yeah.
So this is another effect that
another effect shots in this Harry Potter. So
we're getting like an invisibility
cloak shots. This is I guess on the other extreme where you're doing this is simple effect. Yeah. I'll show you now how it's sort of cheap. It's pretty much just a basic green.
Like you got rid of the green screen effect that in movies and whatnot. So what Mark did was pretty much just have just drape the green fabric over quality and then just took it out in post. So it's great like invisibility effect.
You could potentially do this in Photoshop even without the green screen in there, but it made it a lot easier.
Pretty much if you want to do something like that, make sure you choose a really bright color and also a solid color, so you can pretty much just like select the whole thing in one shot. It just makes post-processing so much easier.
Exactly. So this one here, all I did was Photoshop, select color, delete. Simple. The only thing I did beforehand is take a shot of the exact same angle, but without cosplay. So I had 2 photos basically spliced on top of behind each other. So it shows what's behind it, and so that's
an easy sort of effect.
An easy sort of effect. Exactly. And we did this outdoors easy. We just bundled up the fabric.
That was a piece of fabric, probably.
Another effect that we want to tell you is fire.
This is like element effect, and what you see on screen is actually real fire.
Real fire.
And it was kind of dangerous, but this was like a small wood that was set up like Mark made it, and you'll see how it looks in the next photo. So what you see here is pretty much we have spray bottles with rubbing alcohol in it, and on the tip of the nozzle of the bottle we have like
birthday cakes.
Yeah, like
birthday candles.
Birthday cake.
Birthday candles.
like this little birthday candle. So when you squeeze the nozzle, it creates like a fireball effect. And this was like just a bit more controlled and not as dangerous as saying like having a lighter and having a candle this, right? Because that can just like goes
Yeah, and the rubbing alcohol tends to sort of evaporate a little faster, so that it doesn't linger around and do damage or anything.
That's one way to do fire effects, but yeah, just be careful because we did get a bit of injuries on the day as well.
I just sort of stitched her eyebrows.
He sort of set me on fire on the day.
That's happening.
But yeah, so and
Keep in mind of that.
pretty much like the model was sort of either shot in a way where the fire was obstructing it, so you wouldn't see it, or it was taken out of post.
Yep. Okay. Moving on, I think at the end of the day, everything comes down to story. All your effects, editing, the location that you're trying to you're using, everything comes down to actually portraying the story of the anime or manga that you're shooting. Personally, I like shooting story style photos. There's a lot of photographers out there that shoots, standard pretty person photos. So I guess static photos of just people posing, and it's fine.
It's not bad.
I'm not saying anything against that one, but my personal preference is to actually create a story with the photos. It just helps with the story that it sort of engages your audience a bit more. So if you look at it once, let them try to see what's going on behind the actual photo.
So what you see here is just a very simple, sort of like the comic book effect. So just having a few panels and a few different shots to tell the story. And so the next one is also another paneling one. And as you see here, what we have is shooting over the shoulders of each character. And because when you shoot over shoulders of characters, you kind of put them in perspective, as if you were the character, so you can see what they're seeing. So that's one way to sort of tell the story from like one angle to the other.
Yep. So the next one we got, it's probably. Yep, this one here again. Same thing with the shoulder shots. Again, we're using an angle here that shows what the characters are seeing, and so and then this also makes use of the location. So it's a narrow alley. It makes it a little bit claustrophobic, and it brings it up with your emotion. So it's sort of tied in with your fear. So this is another emotion that you're trying to portray.
Pretty much when you see these kind of photos, you know immediately what's happening, and you sort of put yourself in the place of these characters.
Yep, and the editing then afterwards again, it looks like vignetting that I've created this one, and also added noise into the picture itself, so make it, yes, crunchy, but Lisa said before. Crunchy is so it just clumps up together into the photo that you want. So to tell a quick story in one frame of what the source material is about. Okay. Next up, I think we're moving on to that story. Yeah, another story photo. Yeah, this was quite a while back actually.
It was. And pretty much the stuff that we're telling stories just through body language. So as you see, instead of the animal effect that we had before, this was just a one shot. And like even if you didn't really know the story type, but you kind of get an idea of what's happening here with like the way that we position ourselves and the pose that we had on hand. So like as you see with the red string at the bottom, we were trying to create the red string effect that we talked about. So this is just like a very simple way to tell a story without. So you're kind of just not looking at the camera. You're kind of just like you're looking at a photo as if you're like a.
Yeah. So it's one of those instances as well where you could either let your audience make up their own mind what the story is, or this one could be a very generic boy meets girl situation, and not superhero meets cyborg situation. So it's not exactly, but regardless, you sort of have a vibe of what's sort of happening here. As you can see from Lisa's body language in here, she's holding her hand towards her head. She's just sort of embarrassed and uncomfortable. And Mel over on that side is looking a little more like nonplussed again. What is this guy trying to do here? But the general effect, whether you're trying to tell the story of Tiger and Bunny, or if you're trying to just show a couple of people meeting and being happy, it still achieves that effect. Now, I think we're moving on towards tips.
To wrap it up, we're going to tell you just a few important tips on cosplay photography. And the first one is having reference materials on hand, because as a cosplayer, you find often the photographers you're shooting with, they don't always know what you're cosplaying. So having a few reference materials on hand to actually be able to put on your phone and show them like, oh, I want to get this angle, I want to get this look, get this tone. They know exactly what you're trying to say without you having to explain it and hoping they understand.
That said, it's also used, like, as a photographer, you should also think about communicating beforehand with the cosplayers and asking them, what are you cosplaying?
Yeah, it doesn't have to research into it.
Research it a bit. It's a plus if you actually know the anime or the manga, so that you already have an idea in your head how you want the photos to look like, or which angles you're going to take them from, or what kind of equipment you're going to bring. It sort of just helps you save time when you actually do get into the location and you start shooting, and you achieve better photos that way, and you're a little bit more happy with it, rather than just, I guess, shooting as many different photos or angles as you can, and then just later on sort of come back and, okay, I'm happy with that, with that, with that. It's all an exercise in saving time.
And like another good reason to have reference materials is like often in a lot of these stories that we cosplay, there's like, that one important scene that you want to recreate. So like, to have it on hand and so you can actually see, you want to recreate like a screenshot pretty much.
Yep, but don't just also rely on the original source material.
So not just like fan art that has like really good angles as well that you want to recreate.
Yeah, so that's, again, Google search, very handy. The next tip we want to leave you with is assistance.
Yeah, so it's always good to have people on hand to help you with your photography. So not the cosplay, so there's someone else to, throw the confetti, throw the water, and like, or like even just like hold reflectors and set up lights and things like that. Because as it's really hard to try and take a photo and have a reflector propped up somewhere without it falling over and getting the right angle as well.
So you can see in the photo in the middle there, Mina is standing on a table.
Because there was a basketball.
There's a basketball just flying around there, and Lisa's trying to get this angle in here. And what we found was constantly these cosplayers who aren't professional basketball players miss the break, and it's normally always sort of just heads towards where the camera person is. So Mina was there just pushing away these balls whenever they're coming towards us.
But yeah, so it's good to have a few assistants on hand because they really do help your photographers.
And I think on that note, you should also really appreciate your assistants, the people that are helping out there. We're all having fun in here, but try not to be bossy with them. Definitely tell them exactly what you want to achieve, tell them exactly what angles you want certain lights to be, or whatever else. Be specific, but always be polite. Always be courteous to your assistants.
If you upload any photos, make sure you credit your assistants on top of the photographers.
Yeah, because
they're just as important.
They're just as important, and really they put just as much effort in as well. Next one we have is big, always be prepared type shot.
Because a lot of like the shoots that we do, there's so many elements that goes into a shoot, like organizing your transport, organizing the location, organizing cosplayers, this and that. So yeah, it helps to always prepare, and if possible, always have a backup. Like we said before, like the possibility of getting kicked out of the location, you want to have a backup location that's close by on hand to be able to come to if you do get kicked out, which hopefully doesn't happen. But yeah, always be prepared, even something as simple as like making sure your gear is charged the night before the shoot.
Yep, always handy, or have backup equipment if you can have it. In terms of always be prepared, you also have to think about where you're shooting. So, for example, if actually, as we said, we come from Melbourne. I'm just shooting pictures of people in the convention where I'm not really creating big kind of photo projects. So you sort of just want to be prepared and only bring, I guess, the light equipment, so things that you can carry around so that you're not tired at the end of the day or injure yourself, injure your back, carrying a big bag full of 5 lights and then 3 tripods or whatever. You're not gonna survive an hour walking around with all of that in a convention. So it's something you have to be prepared for. And
I think from like a cosplayer's point of view, it does help to make sure you have like backup makeup, have hairspray on hand, so you don't end up like having to sort of chop your hair down later if like when it doesn't come up properly. So yeah, like be prepared as a cosplayer as well for any sort of mishaps that may happen on the shoot. So.
Otherwise, you might end up looking like you out there, just stressed and injury proofs. Okay. Last tip that we want to leave you with is have fun. End of the day, as cliche as it might sound, we're actually all here just to have fun with cosplay photography. We're all doing this for free, both cosplayers and photographers. photographers, and it's expensive from both ends. So we want to just tell everybody out there, for the cosplayers to value your photographers, because as much as they're doing some free, and maybe they're using this to practice their photography on you and be better at it. At the same time, they also put a lot of money into it, and then time afterwards editing your photos to make it look great. And also, as a photographer, you should also think about respecting the cosplayers. Don't make them do things that they're not comfortable with. Definitely,
Make sure you communicate a lot with the people that you're shooting as well, because in the end, it's like it's a mutual project. Like we can't have one without the other. So make sure you listen to each other and listen to the limitations and capabilities of each other as well. So yeah, even though as stressful as shoots and cosplay sometimes is, we do this for fun in the end, and we both want to achieve the best photo and the best cosplay in the end.
And just a little bit extra with this part, I would always, as I said before, keep your camera rolling, because then you end up with
like these
this crack shots. It's just random shot that they might not have anything to do at all with.
But it is fun memories.
Exactly. You're here to create memories as well as create beautiful images. So pretty much, just want to thank everybody for coming to our panel.
If anyone has any questions, we'll take them before we finish off. Yes.
Any questions out there? Just general tips or anything about editing the photos to be shot? Okay. There's our website, netimages.com for myself. I've got a link from that website towards my Facebook account as well. So photos that take you in the Smash this weekend, I'll be uploading it there.
And for me, you can find me on Facebook under Black Cosplay, and I'm uploading my